but it's not, obviously, thank God, because it would have been bad. But anyway, oh, let me tell you where the Poseidon adventure comes in, because you'll love this, okay? There's a moment where, first of all, this movie's an hour and a half, and there's a tsunami going on, and when the first wave comes, it pushes the iceberg and hits the ship. Well, the nurse's dad, who is, I guess, a specialist for tsunamis or something, I don't know, he's got like equipment in the helicopter while they're flying over to save them. There's a moment where, an hour in the movie, it's an hour and a half, this is an hour in the movie, he says to her, listen, you can't get in the lifeboats because the lifeboats are a death trap, because obviously it's a tsunami, so okay. You can't leave the ship. And she's like, we can't leave the ship, we're stuck in an elevator. Yeah, you sound scared. And he says, just stay on the ship, but we're coming to get you. The next wave is even bigger than the last one. It's coming in about 30 minutes. Well, thanks for giving away the rest of the movie, guy. Thanks. And so what happens is they're stuck in an elevator. These the nurse, the Mr. Andrews ripoff, and this other nurse who's apparently injured. And, oh, and when she's bleeding and when she's injured and when they find her in the room, when they start tagging along with her, she is bleeding all over, and she doesn't look scared at all. How do I know this? Because she's pretending to cry. I don't see any tears in her eyes. Dude, if I was wounded here, I would have freaking tears in my eyes. No, nothing from her. And so this Mr. Andrews character, he gets an axe, which happens to be in the elevator, and he, like opens up this thing, and they're climbing up a ladder in the shaft to get to another elevator. Yeah, sound familiar? Gene Hackman didn't do this with Ernest Borgnine. They did this in the Poseidon Adventure. They did this in the remake too. I think the remake had it as well, and I like the remake, but well, that's another story. Okay, so they're climbing up. And this is where the editing really started to piss me off. You would think it would be with the CG and the horrible, horrible dialogue, but no, it was this. This was a real. This is like how. This is when I said not only is the CGI bad, but this is Uwe Boll territory, and like Tommy Wiseau territory. It's so bad. They're climbing up this ladder, and the two women go up first, and the guy is behind them. Okay, he's the last guy at the bottom of the ladder. And you see them climbing up. What happens in the next shot, when they finally open up the elevator shaft to get out of that shaft, who's the first person to come out? The guy. Okay, how could he be the first one out of the shaft when he was all the way at the bottom of the ladder with the two females up ahead of him? How's that possible? Like, what did he do? Did he get to the side of the ladder and climb up faster than the other ones? It makes no sense! and that was horrible. Like, horrible editing right there. That makes no sense. And they get, oh, wait till you hear this. There's a scene, I know that there's just so much in this movie. The movie's only an hour and a half, but there's just so much. There's a scene in the movie where one of the guys who is so enjoyably bad to watch, he's so funny, this guy. I'm guessing he's one of one of the employees. I think he's one of the captain's first mates or something. I don't know, but he and this woman are trying to keep the passengers under control when they got their life vests on, and they don't do this over on the deck of the ship, which is where you think they would do it, like where the lifeboats were, like in the James Cameron movie. No, they do this in a hallway inside the ship in front of an elevator, and the guy says, and I could be wrong about this. I couldn't really hear it because the audio was dubbed really loud. If I'm wrong on this, please correct me. But I think I heard the guy saying, "There's not enough lifeboats for everyone." Okay. Idiots. First of all, if this really is going to happen, because they are doing this, they are making a second Titanic. In the movie, did they learn anything from the last disaster? I mean, that was one of the main problems with the original Titanic. It didn't have enough lifeboats and a lot of people lost their lives. If you're gonna make another Titanic, don't you think you would have more lifeboats to make up for the last problem you had in the disaster? I mean, like, like, again, the whole Twin Towers thing, I know it's wrong to be comparing the Titanic disaster to the Twin Towers, even though 9/11 was caused by humans and the Titanic disaster was caused by an iceberg. But you know what? They were real tragedies because a lot of people thought they could never happen. When nothing from the movie. When the original RMS Titanic set sail, a lot of people said it was unsinkable. They said nothing bad could happen. And what happens? An iceberg comes and it sinks, and a lot of people died. And it was shocking to the world. When the World Trade Centers were built, nobody thought that that would happen with 9/11. Nobody thought that would happen. But you know what we're doing? People are building the Freedom Tower, One World Trade Center I think it's called, and in case shit like that ever happens again, they're thinking outside the box. They're putting in more emergency escapes. They're putting, like in case an elevator gets destroyed, here's an extra stairwell. Now when the World Trade Centers were built in the 70s, they didn't do that because they didn't think that shit could happen. But, like, if you're gonna build a second Titanic, wouldn't you put more lifeboats on? Because that was a major flaw with the first Titanic. I mean, like, expect a disaster to happen. I mean, don't just remake the original Titanic just because it's in memory of the people who lost their lives. If you're gonna do that, make a museum. In fact, you know what? You don't have to do that because the Franklin Institute has already done that. It makes no sense. And I could be wrong about that, but that really did not make any sense. And you know what also doesn't make sense? There's a moment, right in this scene, all the people go in the elevator to go up on deck, I guess, and they all go in there, and the guy literally says, "Women only." Okay, I know they did that in the first Titanic, like on the first ship, and that wasn't something for the movie, in James Cameron's movie. No, 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 no. They really did do that on the RMS Titanic. Women and children only. Okay, this isn't 1912. This is 2012. I'm guessing this is 2012 because it's the 100th anniversary. But the reason why they did that was because they wanted women and children to go safely instead of the men, because women and children, like, the children needed to have a chance. Like, that is so sexist what that guy just said. Women only. No, everybody should be going. Don't leave the men behind. Don't split up that. Dude, this isn't... The first Titanic sank at a time when women didn't have rights. Things have changed over the last 100 years, so that's a major flaw. I mean, I know the first RMS Titanic did that, but this is 2012. Like, why would you say that? That makes no sense. I'm just gonna keep bitching about how many things don't add up in this movie, and they don't. They do not. Chris Norcross, this is all your fault for bringing this up on Facebook. You just had to bring it up, didn't you? Yeah, he's a friend of mine. He gave me the trailer for this, and I had to watch it. But, you know, I don't blame him. I don't. I'm glad I sat through it. It's so awful. I just loved it. It was so bad. It was so bad. But the thing is, okay, so back to, this review ain't over yet. We're just at the beginning, people. It's a lot. The Mr. Andrews spoof guy, that's what I'm calling him, and the nurse, you know, the two of them act as if they're Jack and Rose. They are complete rip-offs off of Jack and Rose. They are. I mean, I'm surprised their names weren't John and Rosalind. I'm surprised they didn't go with those names because, like, they're not exactly rip-offs. I mean, they're not very identical like Jack and Rose, but it almost feels like that. There was one scene that I did like. One scene which did make sense. When they're running in slow motion down the hallway in the ship from water coming at them. Yeah, I haven't seen that anywhere before. James Cameron, never seen that before. So finally, when they escape the water, they get to this hallway and they can't cross because there's water in the middle of this section of the floor, and there's an electric wire in there, and they're afraid if they step on it, they're gonna die. So they have to climb on this pole, like the monkey bars, and like grab onto it without touching the water. That was kind of good. That was kind of clever. I liked that. It went on way too long because I know they were both gonna make it. Except for the Mr. Andrews guy. I had a feeling he was gonna die because, again, he's doing Jack Dawson here. So, of course he's gonna die. Spoilers. So, they're doing that, and they get across, and they make it. But that was that was the thing I did like. I did like that. So then they go and they try to budge this door to try to get this guy safe because he's stuck behind the door, but then he dies because they can't get the door open. And one of my favorite lines from this guy, he turns around and they play sad music to try to get us crying for this character we just met 5 seconds ago, for this guy who just died. And the Mr. Andrews ripoff, he turns around and he goes, "I just killed him. I just killed him. I just killed him." No emotion, no emotion. Like, Edward has more emotion than this guy from Twilight, and he just goes, "I just killed him." And then the nurse character, she's like, "No, you didn't. It's not your fault. It's not your fault, damn it." and then they go and they try to get off the ship. And for no reason, I don't know how this happens, but the captain, like the minute I saw the captain, I knew he was a goner, because we all know the captain made it out in the first Titanic, right? No, by the way, he didn't. No, Captain John Smith sadly lost his life. But this isn't the real world, this movie. It's not the real world. So, but neither was the James Cameron movie, but it was based off on true events. So, this one, the captain doesn't make it, and then for some reason, I don't know how this comes about. Maybe it's because there's a steam power blowout or something. The guy, the captain's in there, the middle of the ship explodes. There's an explosion, and it looks more fake than a Michael Bay Transformer explosion. And they, the two characters, they go running on the ship, and I forget how it comes up, but they gotta get off the ship before the ship goes underwater. So this is where the movie gets extremely stupid, and you would think it'd be the other stuff, but no, it's this, okay? Again, Poseidon Adventure, like an hour and 25 minutes into the movie, we got like 4 minutes left in the film, the big rogue wave comes over, it flips the Titanic II over, like the freaking Poseidon Adventure. The CG wave flips the CG Titanic II over like a freaking toy boat in a bathtub. And they survived that. I don't know how... That does not happen. That's not possible. That's not possible. That's rarely possible, but why would they make it out? And, oh, before we get to this, I want to tell you, for a ship that's pretty much as big as the original RMS Titanic, it looks like there's about like maybe 30 people on this ship. I mean, give Cameron credit for the Titanic movie he did. It looked like there were thousands of people on that ship. It looked like it. But here, the only time we see a lot of people is when they're in that elevator scene, and the guy says there's not enough lifeboats for everyone. I think that's what he said. There's like 30 people there, and then they have like, it's almost like the director said, okay, let's have like 10 people here complaining and bitching and being scared, and we'll have 2 more people run down this hallway. People will buy that's 1,000 people. They'll buy it. No. It felt like there were maybe like 30 to 40 people on this ship. We didn't see a lot of people. You don't see a lot of people on the deck when the ship gets hit by the iceberg. We see like maybe like 10 people on the deck, which makes no sense. You'd see a lot more people on the ship deck than 10 people. Maybe less than 10 people, I don't know. But, okay, so the ship gets turned over, Poseidon Adventure, and the guy drowns. Big surprise. And, oh, before he drowns, again, Jack Dawson territory here, he's looking at the nurse while the water's getting up, and he's shaking, and he's giving her a last pep talk before he goes, because he knows he's not going to make it. Haven't seen that before! And what happens? He drowns. He dies. And the ship goes down. And here's the thing. As soon as the ship sinks, the ship goes down like a rock. I mean, at least like in the James Cameron movie, when the ship sank, I'm sure it was going down fast, considering the ocean and everything. It didn't look like it was going down too fast. The way the CG is in this movie, this ship goes down like a stone, really fast. And I think it's halfway down to the bottom of the ocean, and the nurse has on a swimsuit and I can't think of it. A gas tank, gas tank, so she can breathe.